Are we? We are live now.
Right on time.
Well, I had already run out the zero, so that's what happens when you schedule stuff right after work, and then you get a call from the wife and says, "Can you stop by the store and pick this up?"
Uh-oh.
Yeah, that's my. Let
Yeah,
me
I
turn this.
can.
Here you go. I had the other live stream on, um, so that I could. One of the things I like to do when like new people like yourself,
Mhm.
um, I like to give them the moderator stuff so that way next time you're in the chat or something, or even now, you can click on the people's link and it'll take you to their channel and you can check them out.
Oh, nice.
So
Okay.
that's something that Father Fish does on his channel, and I personally have found it very useful because it allows me to connect with a lot of people. Problem is sometimes, especially with newer channels, you try looking them up, on the search. And the problem is because they're so new, it just buries you guys all the way down there. Like I couldn't find the day you were live. I was trying to share your actual stream, and I kept typing, in what is it in my tanks,
Yep.
and it would give me like songs and some other stuff. It would never brought up your channel, and I even used the
Oh my
hashtag, which is the worst
gosh.
part.
I can't believe that. I need to work on my SEO, man. That's unacceptable.
But anyways, now that you guys are here, let me say some hellos real quick before we get started, and because once we get going, I become pretty bad about staying on top of the chat.
Oh, what's up,
But
Steve?
let me say hello to Steve. You said you know Steve, right?
Yeah, he's in my club. Big Steve.
Nice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's
That's
all right,
cool.
I guess,
We have Empire of Dirt Aquatics, which is Jeff King. Thank you so much for joining us. Something Fishy, Sat. Thank you so much for popping in. And then we have this new one called In My Tanks. Hey, Nicolas.
Hey, how's
Nice
it
of you to
going?
join me. And then we have the lovely Lisbeth Martinez, which happens to be my wife. Prodigal Aquarius, Don, thank you so much joining us from overseas. He's out there in the UK somewhere.
Awesome.
Glassbox Diaries, I believe. Glassbox Diaries might be also overseas. I'm not sure. I think he kind of started showing up in my chats because of natural aquariums. But he's very welcome to be he or she. That one I don't know yet. I got to take a deep dive into that channel. Leo's Aquatics, Aquariums and Reptiles. Thank you for joining us. Fathom Aquatics, that's Alex. Thank you so much for being here. Sarah the Great, aka Mother Fish, aka Badass Sarah, is here with us,
Hey.
all the way from Australia.
Wow.
And along with her, she's got one of her mates, Gil's Fish Room. He's also over there in Australia. Thank you so much, Gil, for being here. We have Stan the Man, Redneck Aquatics. Thank you for joining us. Oh yeah, he's in England.
Okay.
Glassbox Diaries.
Oh, you got a lot of across the pond and then further across another pond.
Yeah, that's one of the benefits of having this quirky schedule and not having a set schedule. Everybody tries to have like a set date for their live streams, and I know it's good because people that are trying to actually consume your content, it gives them a schedule and they can plan according to it. And some of the most successful channels are that because they have a very consistent, presence. Downside of that is you're kind of restricted as to who you have. Like for me, that I like doing live streams with guests and having a conversation, it becomes a little bit more challenging to try
Yeah.
to work them into your schedule, especially if they're overseas. Now you're dealing with they have to stay up like at 3 o'clock in the morning, and it's midday for you. So that's been one of the saving graces of me not having a schedule and having a rotating schedule for work. I can be early in the morning and it could be evening for them, and it just works out perfect.
Yeah.
It kind of sucks sometimes for the people that like the live. And what I'm finding out, because I keep telling them, the whole intent of this was set up to be like a replay for those that can't make the live.
Right.
But as you will see, there's a secondary conversation taking place in the chat, and that's
I
what
see.
people really like coming in, and they'll have their own conversations and they have a good time. It's party time in the chat.
I'm gonna try not to
Um,
get distracted.
Oh no, that's fine. You're probably more apt to being able to have a conversation and actually read the comments. If I do that, I'm so old that I get sidetracked. I can only do one thing at a time. Let me get Asia her.
I appreciate they got so much energy. Though. I appreciate it. Fathom Aquatics and Prodigal Aquarius. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah. So, all right. So obviously your name is Nicholas. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, kind of where you're at, and kind of what you're doing?
Sure. I'm I guess my name's Nicolas. Also sometimes go by In My Verse, just from my musical persona. I've been in a rap group for a few years, so it's kind of like the In My is like what I use for all my stuff. So it's like In My Verse, In My Tanks, I'm over in Maryland, and right now I'm, as you can see, inundated with fish tanks with all sorts of fun killifish and inverts. And, it's a new hobby for me relatively, but it's something that has just kind of like taken over my focus as far as like it's like taking the place of video games in my brain
Mm.
basically. Like it's all I do in my free time, like for me collecting eggs it's like I'm going mining in Minecraft or something, I find an egg, it's like it's a diamond, I'm setting up a new tank, it's like, yeah, this is gonna be my, Fundula Panchex Gardener Eye tank. Like, okay, yeah. I've never experienced something that feels so productive that I actually want to do on a daily basis like this.
Well, music when you're putting music together, that's pretty productive, isn't it?
It is, but for me, music is so like spontaneous. Like I've always made music mostly like for fun. So music is something like I'm up at 2 a.m. and I have an idea and I go make something. It sits on my computer most of the time, or sometimes I even dream about song ideas and I wake up and I'm like, wait, let me make a voice note, kind of a thing. Now I dream about fish ideas. I'm not gonna
So,
lie.
any possibility of merging the two hobbies, music and your passion for fish?
You know, I thought about it. If it happens, we'll see. We'll see.
Hmm.
I'm not gonna foreshadow it, but if I stick to this long enough, I won't be able to help myself. I won't be able to help myself.
Well, the reason I say because there's a guy, I guess on Instagram who built did a rap on his plants, and it's kind of become like a I guess not a meme, but you can use it as a soundbite and for the people in the plant side of the hobby.
Yeah.
And I thought that was kind of cool. And then we have here, and I don't know if he's shown up yet, but Stephen P. He's also done a couple of things where he's kind
Yeah,
of rapped about.
I've seen those. They're great. They're great. I mean, I've got some rhymes. I've got some rhymes in my head with different fish stuff. Like it pops into my head, like even when I'm writing, because that's what I do the most is like I'll have a beat playing or something. I like writing things, like a rhyme will come into my head and it's like some fish Latin name, and I'm like, well, a few
Let's see how
people
we
will
can
get
work
this.
this into
A few people will get this. Yeah.
now. Let me ask you this, because you don't have to tell me your age precise, but you're no longer in high school, right?
No,
Okay.
no. I have a college degree.
Oh,
I have a
okay.
college
You
degree.
just you look so young. That's why I was asking. I was
I
like,
know.
uh-huh.
It's a blessing and a curse. It's like I get a little bit benefit of the doubt. Like maybe he isn't like an old washed up guy, like just sitting playing with his fish tanks. Not that you know old and playing with
Oh,
fish tanks is bad, but
oh, the whole
I'm just
chat and
saying.
myself.
I'm just
I'm about to
saying.
turn this stream off.
Wait,
We're all
wait.
gonna leave.
Let me rephrase
Thank
that. Let
you.
me
It was
rephrase
great
that.
having you, Nicholas.
Oh, let me phrase that. Though I get a benefit of a doubt, like, wow, this is just a young kid, so he's got a lot of time to play with the fish tanks, you know what I mean? And then in my older age, let's say I'm over 24. I'll say that.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'm
Well,
over
shit, you look
24.
a lot younger than that. I thought you were like in your early 20s. I mean,
Yeah.
earlier 20s.
Yeah, it's not early anymore. It's not early. It's not early, but as far as the fish keeping, I'm pretty young. So, maybe that takes off a few years my appearance, cuz I think this June will be 2 years of me doing this.
So what was first, the music or the fish?
No, I got my first fish tank in June of 2023.
Oh, okay.
actually.
Oh, so
Um,
it's really new.
yeah. So my grandpa had a terminal cancer, and my roommate, his father passed away. And then my longtime partner, she moved to finish school in Scotland. So I kind of found myself in the position like, what am I staying in this apartment for? Like, I lost my roommate, like my girlfriend's gonna be gone. So I moved back home, and my grandpa was sick, so like helping around the house. And for Father's Day, I remembered when I was a kid, I'd go to his house and he had a fish tank there, and he seemed to really like it. So I was like, I'm gonna set up a fish tank for Father's Day. So I'm like, I dive into things. I'm like, how can I min max this? Like, okay, I'm reading up. Okay, here's the cycle. Okay, we're gonna get plants in here. And just in the process of setting it up, I was like, man, this is
Well, this is interesting
fun.
because you said you started up in June. I'm always curious for somebody that's coming into the hobby in today's world. It's got to be totally different than when it was when us washed out fish keepers got into it. Believe it
Yeah,
or
they say,
not, this whole thing, the internet was in its infancy state, so it wasn't like you could just go to
yeah.
YouTube and search for information. What was your process? What is it that you did to get information? And most importantly, how did you discern from good information and bad information?
Well, so the thing about me is like I come from like competitive gaming. Like that's one of the reasons why I'm happy to have a new hobby because I don't really know how to game casually. Like for me, my sister had me play a new game. It's called The Finals. I've never
Okay.
played it. I haven't played a computer game in like a year at this point. I load in. The first thing I think is, okay, this gun does 5 damage. This melee does 10 damage. Each person has 50 health. So this plus that, and the cooldown's 5 seconds. Like that's how I think. So coming into the hobby, actually, my first thing was there's not enough good written information because the
Oh,
YouTube videos, I'm like impatient. So I'm trying to get through the YouTube video, like explain to me the cycle and stuff. And I'm just, where's the transcript? Like, I gotta go. So I think the one frustrating thing was like you say, discerning good and bad information. It was really hard to find where I felt confident. Okay, this is
mm,
someone that has good information versus this is someone that read an aqua addiction page and copy and pasted a care sheet. Like, you know what I mean? Like it
yeah.
took a while. So, but I think I very quickly started going to academic papers
Mm,
uh, to find information because it was just the easiest way, for me.
yeah. And it's really interesting because if you're telling me this is all new for you, I'm even a lot more impressed because I was really impressed as to how much knowledge for such a younger person to have. On this hobby, especially, because it's not kids don't grow up and say, I want to keep aquariums. It's kind of not, it's not the normal thing. They want to play football, they want to play basketball, they want to do other stuff, they want to play video games in today's world.
Right.
So to find somebody that's, the younger generation, and you're telling me you've only started in June and really getting information, you must do a lot of reading, a lot of researching, to know as much as you do in such a short time. A lot of this information is gained over trial and error and experience over the years. But if you had told me that you've been doing this for several years, I would have believed you because it seems your knowledge base is a lot wider than somebody that just started in June. Shit, I got a friend that's been
Well,
doing this for 3 years and he still doesn't know how to do it.
June 2023. So as it's coming up on 2 years, but
Mm.
I do read a lot. And when I was a kid, like I definitely read like a book a day.
Oh,
It,
okay.
it had to be a 500-page plus book before it would take me longer than like a day or two to get through it. So like I don't read that much these days, but like reading is a comfortable place for me to like learn quickly because the videos, like the people that watch videos, they turn it up like 2x speed. It just doesn't work for me. I'm like, just show me the words so I can just scroll and read as I go. Um, but I will say that uh, reading only gets you so far. There's definitely been lots of trial and lots of error because you can read something on a page. It doesn't really mean you're going to be able to apply it or in the moment control yourself enough to make the right decision. I definitely learned that the hard way.
Yeah, yeah, that tends to happen. Hey, David, saludos. Gracias por estar aquí, Mario. Muchas gracias por el apoyo.
He used to be an MLG competition judge. He said, Fathom says in the chat. Oh, that's nice.
Oh, okay.
Cloud9. I rooted for Cloud9 in the Overwatch leagues a lot. I played a lot of Overwatch. I'm sad to say.
I thought Cloud9 was a parody show that they did about Walmart.
Really? I haven't heard of that.
I don't know, something like that. Or what was it? Something Cloud. I know it was something Cloud.
Yeah.
But it's basically poking fun at Walmart. But
I'm sure there's a lot of targets there.
Yeah.
I said I'm sure there's a lot of targets there to poke fun at Walmart.
Yeah. It was actually pretty entertaining. It was actually I watched like the first couple of seasons, and then they took it off the platform I was watching it. And so I didn't continue watching it. I think they're like in season 4 or 5 or something like that. But
oh wow.
But anyways, getting back to Nicolas. Now in June, what you said you wanted to set up that aquarium. It was sort of a tribute to your grandfather. Is that what it was?
Let's go ahead.
No, I was going to ask you, did he keep a particular type of fish that you decided to set it up, or you just selected the fish for that tribute aquarium that you set up?
So I say in because the timeline happens like this. So June 2023 is when I bought my aquarium, my first aquarium. But obviously before that was Father's Day. The tank was set up for then, and I actually had it set up with no fish in it because I had read, you can't.
Yeah.
So I had the tank set up in my basement. It was a 40-gallon, and I and I had it in my basement like for a week or so, and then I had to move it up like late at night upstairs and then have it ready for him in the morning because he wakes up at like 5 a.m. And then he had to pick his fish. Because he's a very particular person. I wasn't gonna try and pick the fish for him. Like, and part of the gift was I'm going to stock the tank for you, maintain it, until the time comes.
So what did he end up stocking it with? What fish did he want?
So first he wanted some Corys. I put those in there. I didn't realize the heater I had in there was broken, so it was like 100 degrees. Those died.
Oh.
I was like, whoops, the heater failed at some point. But then he got like, neon tetras, the blue dwarf gourami, and then the Corydorus Aeneas. He had some in there. And with him, it was always a battle of that fish isn't doing what I want it to do. Or like, Grandpa, we just put it in there. He's like, it's just high. Why is it back there? Like, it's hiding. Like, so I got a lot early on of like, okay, this is the goal I want. And I'm going to keep moving things around until I get the fish to behave the way that my grandpa accepts, because otherwise he's going to be like, get rid of it. So, not necessarily the person a lot of fish people would potentially emphasize with. His kind of thing was like, look, I had the fish to look good and to do a thing. And if it's hiding in the back, like, it needs to find a new home. Cold-blooded.
So come around, you start setting up yours. Did you have a vision at what you wanted? Were you automatically coming into like you knew you wanted a planet aquarium and trying to set that up, or what was your deal?
Definitely, the plants were always from the beginning. His tank had a big sword. We had plants in there growing from the start. So I always started with the plants. I knew I wanted to get the shrimp in there, of course. I remember like maybe 2019, like on Reddit, like a shrimp tank post came up. I remember saying to Jessica, like, wouldn't it be cool to like have a little shrimp tank and you got these little shrimp just sitting there? And she looked at me like, what are you talking about? Since when do you want shrimp? So that I kind of looked back at that and laughed. Like, I did get my shrimp tank in the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was shrimp, and I think killifish came very quickly.
Okay.
I think very quickly. I'm trying to remember what order it was. I think Celestial Pearl Danios were like the first fish that I bought, I think.
Now, are you I know this is a short time, but knowing how quickly you've moved through it. Have you looked into breeding now, or is that something you're doing?
Yeah, so that's what I'm doing. I'm breeding. I don't know. I need to count how many species I bred last year, but I bred a good amount of things last year. I didn't get them all submitted to the BAP program, but this year I'm in competition with people. Me and my buddy Aaron Smalls. He's saying he's gonna beat me. Mandy's in our club. She breeds a lot of things. So I want to breed like 20 plus species this year is my
Okay.
goal. So yeah, breeding is like what I like the most about the
Now,
hobby.
are you going with the ones that are a little bit more challenging, or are you going with the live bears, which are like set them and forget them?
No, I'm not. No, not live. But like right now, I'm working on in the back here is the Procatopus similis. It's a lamprey killifish. That's like my favorite project right now. So I have some fry of those. I want to say I go for like the hardest ones, but I don't like. I'm not a big live bear person, and I like the more weirder fish. But I do have a lot of West African fish right now.
Okay, that's the region of the world that you're really interested in currently.
Well, I like killifish, and like it has all the best ones. Really, it has a lot of the best ones. So it's just kind of accident. So
yeah, we have a couple of very knowledgeable killie fish keepers that have YouTube channels. I don't know if you're familiar with Mark Piles Aquatics.
Mm-hmm.
He would be definitely a great resource, not only for information, but if you're trying to find certain species. There's a big network of these guys up there in the Houston area in Texas.
Yep.
And they keep all kinds of rare killifish and stuff like that. That's just a little bit that just takes a lot of time and dedication, which I split myself into too many things and too many other passions that I wouldn't do it properly. So I enjoy them. I enjoy you guys that keep them, and I love seeing information and videos about them. But
Yeah.
that's about as far as I dive into it.
I'm just laughing because Jana in the chat says, "Is that the isopod guy?" It's just so funny.
Yes, it is.
That's the isopod.
Well, we're kind of working our way towards that.
Killifish aren't that hard though. Like they got a bad reputation. They're not that hard, and there's several that like I breed, but like really, I'm just putting them in a tank, and like fries show up on their own, and they're like in community tanks.
With some of these, don't you have to give them a dry season, and you have to put them in moist soil or whatever it is? And what is it? Cocoa fiber, whatever.
Yeah.
You store them in a drawer for like 6 months.
The moss, the peat moss. Yeah, so you can do that as mostly the annual killifish, which are like why people think they only live a year. Like there are killifish that they lay their eggs and then the pond dries and they'll die, but the eggs survive. But even the ones that live longer, their eggs can enter like diapause, like they pause development until it's favorable for them. But many of them you can water incubate them. Those ones, Aphyosemium vivittatum funge, those breed like in a community way for me. I don't do anything to breed those. And then Fundula pantix shealy, I have those community breeding too. So there's a few that the fry will show up, and there's others that are just more annoying, like the Galaris, where their eggs are like they'll lay like 100 eggs and 2 of them are good.
Okay. Yeah, no, and I was going to ask you, do you notice, is there a difference in the lifespan or the quality of the fish by not putting them in that dry period that they're supposed to be in?
Yeah, but for some fish, like people have more success with drying them out. But for me, it's just like I will never be organized enough to like pick eggs and put them in peat moss and put them in a container and write the date on it and pour water on it 3 months later. Like it's just not gonna work for me. So I pick the eggs, I put them in water, and I just whatever happens.
Now, once you start setting up your aquariums, where along your journey do you start deciding I want to set up a complete ecosystem inside my aquariums?
Well, it's funny because like I don't think I've ever, or at least it's been a while since I've thought in my head like, oh, I want a complete ecosystem. Like it's more been about like I want the aquarium to have all of its niches filled,
Hmm.
so things are stable. Uh and because I'm definitely of the mind like I don't think you can make a complete ecosystem necessarily in your tank. Like to a degree, you're always going to need to do something to keep stuff at the optimal, whether it's every 4 months or every 6 months. I just think eventually you should probably do a water change or something like that. So that's never
Yeah, no.
necessarily.
I'm not talking about like
Yeah,
necessarily
that's not
not
necessarily
doing
my
changes or
goal.
anything like that, but I'm talking about having all the organisms. What I'm trying to, I'm working it to get us to the isopods.
Right. No,
But
I hear.
so at what point do you start finding information on that and discovering, oh, these are better than the others? Or because I'm assuming you mentioned shrimp, which
Mhm.
was probably the first venture into trying to get um, animals that would help you, decompose
Right.
matter in the aquarium to the next level. So if you had snails, that would be the next top. So where does that journey take place for you? When because it's been a short time. That's why I'm so surprised you've been able to accomplish so much in such a
Okay.
short period.
So I got the CPDs and I got them with the intention to breed them. So I'm breeding them and I got the eggs and I'm reading about kind of egg fungusine and stuff like that. And like people like methylene blue, and I'm just like, I'm not gonna do that. That's kind of how I am. Like I read something, I'm like, that's just not kind of
There's
my
got to be a
vibe,
better way.
my style. Exactly. So it's funny, the isopods and kind of more the complete ecosystem kind of came around that where I'm like, okay, what are some things happening in nature that help eggs stay healthy that I'm missing in this box? Because I'm like, I'm not pouring methylene blue into like a river. So I'm like, okay, the stuff that's growing on it, it has to be predated upon or inhibited or slowed down by some other organisms that I don't got enough of in here. And that's actually what led me to the isopods for the first time. That was actually that.
Oh, okay. See, and it's so interesting because I had never. It wasn't into your video, and I know there's been other channels that have talked about them, but because you even reference them. I guess Grant from Eater Aquatics. I guess he's been talking about those lately. But I I like shrimp, but they go way too much information on shrimp, more than I care to have. So it's one of those things where I think I have a good handle on the shrimp that I'm keeping, which are the Neils. I
Right.
can't do well. I don't want to do Caradinas because then I got to mess with water, and I don't.
Yeah.
I'm of the opinion if it's going to require me more than turning on the tap of the sink, I don't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
And so I'll keep what I know is going to be fine in my system. So that's why I just kind of listen and I know what's going on. And that's pretty much it. And I didn't realize that he was talking about isopods and stuff like that. It was your video, and it was a video because it wasn't even a live stream. Then I was
Mhm.
like, cool. This is something that I knew about them existing in terrariums and stuff like that, in
Right.
bioactive terrariums, but I had no idea they were aquatic. So that kind
Yeah.
of piqued my interest immediately.
That was also part of it. It's like when I stumbled upon the terrestrial isopods, I was like, okay, where's the aquatic isopods? I was like, there's gotta be people are this into the terrestrial ones. Like, why aren't the aquatic ones getting any love? And like that, the isopod agenda is like what you just described. Like I'd seen them, but I didn't give it any thought, and I saw the video, and then I see the potential. And like when I first found them, that was what was frustrating me. Is I was like, this seems like something so many people would not only find useful, but like they would love, including myself. And at the time, it was so difficult to find them. Like you could order them from Carolina Biological, but they just collect them locally from some random place. There's a lot of contamination issues. So it's kind of like, also I'm new. Now I wouldn't think that much of doing it because I can deal with whatever's going to come with it. But at the time, I'm like, I don't want anything weird
You
that
want to
I have
have
to
the
deal with.
you wanted to set yourself up for the most success possible.
Yes, so that's why I've dropped like $60 or whatever it was for 10 from Garden of Eater, because that was the only place. And I came across the video by accident because I watched their lives. I'm a big fan of them. And he just referenced it like loosely, like, oh yeah, we got those aquatic isopods. And I was like,
Ears perked up, huh?
I was like, what? Aquatic isopods? I've been looking for those for weeks. I ordered them immediately.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to. Well, I'll deal with that later.
You got
No,
it.
so you start getting into one of the things that I've been. You see, for me, isopods goes back to when I was a kid. You pick up a rock and they would kind of all scramble from under there, right? And
Right.
then you grab them and they would kind of turn into a little ball, and that's all that was interesting about those bugs is you had these little balls, and then you put them down, and once they felt safe, they would unravel and take off. I had no idea how much the isopod hobby has evolved. Now you got little, designer, for lack for a better term, designer isopods. And I'm like, wow, that's pretty interesting. The stuff that we used to call them roly polies.
Right.
You know, they've become a thing where people are keeping them as I guess pets, or no different than fish. So
I
it's
mean,
like,
they're awesome. Like I have a few species of terrestrial ones I keep, and what's nice about them is you got them in you can get them in a smaller container, and you can have them on your desk, and they're very pretty, and they move around, and it's like a fish tank appeal, but it's a lot less space demanding and in some ways easier to maintain. So I totally get why they're so popular.
I'm gonna make a pause real quick. Alex, you need to tell RJ he needs to get his butt in here so he can resolve that issue that he has with us. And now we have a thing for him to keep, which is isopods. We have a friend in a chat group of all of us keep aquariums except for him.
Wow.
And he he calls himself the vicarious aquarius or something like that. And we've been telling him, dude, you just got to start a jar, get a mason jar, throw some dirt, throw some water, stick a plant in there. You'll be good. And but he still refuses. He says he wants to do it properly.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, the perfectionist.
Yeah, it's a running joke we have with him. So
no, it's funny. It's the year of the isopod. I think aquatic and terrestrial isopods are
okay.
gonna go
So my
all the way
question
up.
is this, and leading to the designer stuff. Now, I must be incorrect because I'm assuming these species come looking the way they do with the different colorations, the different spotting, or has it been selectively bred to look like that, like what we do in the fish hobby?
So there's some people right now, mostly it's just that's how they come. Right now, there are people that do have like a black morph, or some people I know are working on a yellow morph. I'm trying to work on those same kind of colors, because some of them they get like the ones I have, they'll have lighter coloring, or they get these gold speckles, and if you shine the light, it's like actually reflective. So I think this year we'll see people pop out with some different colors and stuff of them.
For aquatics?
Yeah, and because they breed so fast, like the generations are just gonna speed the process up. So 100%, it's just that people have to do it. It's like the shrimp. It's like someone had to decide, like, okay, I'm gonna do it. People have them. I know that they're working on doing that. So yeah, there's gonna be some colors coming out.
Now, are you going to be part of that movement? Because I know you're all into them. I mean, it seems like every live stream you're talking about them. You really have a good knowledge. Well, because my knowledge is nothing, and so I come to you, and I'm always learning new stuff. Do you think you find yourself doing that, trying to create your own line of isopods?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm working on that now, and I do sell isopods. I finally made a website. It's just inmytanks.com. But for me, just making the YouTube was motivated by what I've been calling the isopod agenda, which is basically I saw the lack of availability, the lack of information, and I was like, I'm gonna be a solution to the problem. So I started breeding them, selling them on Reddit, saying this is the isopod agenda. And I looked at the prices people were selling them at, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna sell them at half that price. I'm gonna force the price to come down over time. And since I've started, like 3 people have started selling them, and
Okay.
one person now sells them for $1 isopod. And when you think about when I bought them, the best option was Garden of Eater, which sold them for $4 an isopod. And then Phillips Fishwork has a warehouse. And I remember I was working on breeding them, selling on Reddit, and he posted a video. And this is how like obsessed I am with the top hot topic. It was like a random video where he's updating about what he's got in his warehouse. And he says he has the isopods, and you see he's got tubs and tubs and tubs in this warehouse dedicated to them. And I'm like, okay, when is he gonna start selling them? Like a few months later, he starts selling them. It's $3 an isopod. I'm like, all right, I really gotta step my game up. Like you go, but the reason why I mostly kind of like we could do better is because in the UK, you can buy 100 on eBay for like £8. So because of how I know how they breed and stuff, I'm like, this is something that should be more accessible. Like, because it's hard. It's a big ask when they're already new and people don't know what they are to be like, hey, you got to pay $50 minimum for 10 of these, and you know nothing about them, if they're gonna work out, if you're gonna like them. Like, it doesn't seem like much, but it's a big barrier for people like getting into stuff like that.
Now, do you think that's, or has it already generated some contention with some of these other breeders towards you because
No,
you're
no,
trying you're trying to bring down it's not uncommon anytime a new species, whether it's fish or whatever,
yeah,
it gets introduced into the hobby, it's obviously it's going to demand a little bit more money. I can think about when I guess African cichlids were like huge, and then people were demanding like $50, $20 for fish,
yeah.
and now people can't seem to give them away. Depend. Obviously, it's all dependent on what part of the country you're in. But
Oh yeah,
I'm in Arizona, and every other guy that keeps fish is keeping African cichlids. We had one guy here; his whole garage was a breeding facility, and I was trying to get
nice.
him to sell online, but he was hesitant to do it, and he ended up going under because he couldn't sell them. He
Mm,
saturated his market here,
yeah,
and I was like, dude, if you sell them online, I know there's people all over the country that want these and can't get them, but
yeah.
it was it was one of those things where he didn't want to deal with that. So, you know,
No, I mean
now
it's hard if you don't sell online, but I haven't had any contention from anyone, and like I don't think anyone's doing anything wrong by just selling them for whatever they want. It's just my personal goal is to make more options available because it just turns out I'm really into aquatic isopods, and if you're someone who's been into them for a while, you know the whole process because there's one guy on Reddit like 4 or 5 years ago that was selling them, and he had a black morph, and he had a very cool strain of Lyceris, which is a American species, and he was selling them and stuff, and they disappeared, right? So
okay.
if you're looking for them, everyone knows this guy because you're searching, trying to buy them, and you can only find this person that disappeared. About a month ago, he came back
Mm,
and he's selling 20 isopods for $20. And they're great. They're like huge. That's the ones I did the unbagging of. And when people ask about, well, aren't you worried about competition, blah, blah, I'm like, look how many people sell shrimp. They make a
yeah.
living off of just selling shrimp. There's like a billion shrimp sellers from $1 neos to like $10 neos. There's like 5 people that sell aquatic isopods. So there really is infinite space right now for people to sell them.
So going on the isopods, and obviously you're talking to somebody who has zero to no knowledge about these. Is there like different species
Yeah,
of isopods? How many are there that are actually aquatic?
there's a lot, and
Oh, okay.
the whole thing with them is like a disaster. Like IDing them is, out in my Discord, we're trying to ID a picture of a isopod some guy found. You're having to go through a library online catalog, find a scanned in book from 100 years ago or magazine because someone just described it once. And that's
Mhm.
the only place the description is, so you can ID the species. But most people sell them under Acellus aquaticus, which is a species that's actually endemic to the UK.
Okay.
So most of them probably are not Acellus aquaticus. Uh, I'm kind of working on. I have a project. I'm gonna identify to the species all the aquatic isopods that are on the market right now. Is kind of my project. With a friend who's much more competent than I am. But there's a lot of species. So in America, and I'm not going to pronounce anything right. It used to be Acellus, just like Acellus aquaticus. They changed all the North American ones for the most part from Acellus to Cassiodota or Cassiodoti. Um, and there's like 20 of those. And then there's Lycerus, which is like a more tanky, bulky looking one. And, there's like 10 of those. And then you have the subterranean isopods that are like white. They don't have any eyes, and they're mostly in underground water caves. And then you have all sorts of random ones that like only exist in like some pond in DC or some vernal pool and like PA. So there's a ton, but the information on them isn't very accessible. And the people that are knowledgeable about them, the people that I know that have reached out to them, have not gotten like the friendliest responses. Like they don't seem very social. So it's hard if you're trying to like know what the right thing is, because the people that do have the information is like a small amount, and they're not very accessible right now. So I know I'm talking a lot. The last thing I'll say is
no. That's why you're here. You're here to talk.
Departments of like wildlife and stuff, some of them have like videos on YouTube with like 20 views, but it's actually great information. So I found like some college lectures or like departments of wildlife that put up, hey, you find this species that indicates good water quality, yada yada yada. And like some of those training videos you can find is actually some of the best places to get information on macro invertebrates in your area. So yeah.
So they're good indicators for water quality. Then that's if you can keep them. Is that only particular strains or in general? I mean,
I think some specific species are. I'm not an expert on the water quality species thing, but they'll take an ice cube tray, go out to a stream, get a net, get a big bunch of mud, pick through it, and then sort in each little ice cube tray what they find. And depending on what they find, they can say, okay, we can tell it's healthy and unhealthy in these ways, because these species can't exist if XYZ is true, which I thought was pretty interesting. So it could be, you could get an indicator species for your tank potentially.
Well, no, and the reason I was asking is because are isopods pretty much found in water bodies all over the world, or are they more like certain regions of the world? Or because like again, this is all I'm gonna pick your brain today. So
no, it's fine. No, from my understanding, like it seems like they're pretty much everywhere. I mean, they're in the ocean, they're in the streams. They occur with scuds. Some places like they're in caves. They're super adaptable. And even like some papers I've read, like they'll do experiments where they'll take some, put them with predators, take some, put them not with predators. And like just in a few generations, the ones with predators are like way better at avoiding, being eaten. And I've seen that in my own tank. So that's why I like keeping them with fry or something like that. Cause I'm like, well, just in case someone buys my isopods and they go over there, like they'll have more of a fighting chance if they decide to put them in a tank with a fish they shouldn't. So, but yeah, no, they're all over.
Do they have natural predators, or all fish will predate on them? I'm assuming anything that can fit it in its mouth will probably eat it.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. And I was actually surprised to learn that like they're a significant part of many fish's diet, and to the point where they found places where like the isopods aren't doing well, like the fish are less productive. So kind of the same way people say scuds are like a food source, like they're in a similar category where fish do eat them quite a bit.
Oh, RJ is here. So what was it you were saying about isopods, that you could put them in a small, real small container, and to the point where you could carry it and take it with you wherever you go?
Yeah, you could, RJ, I'm telling you, you want to do things the right way. You could be the person with the first isopod backpack, get a square 1 gallon UNS tank, set it up perfectly to strap it on. I think it could really be a winner, honestly.
And they can be aquatic, or they can be now. Speaking of which, and I think you kind of touched on that on your last live stream, but there are something must have happened. Well, anyways, RJ, I'm glad you're here. You're running out of.
I was gonna say,
there you go, RJ. Pay attention.
This is my cube. Ignore the mold, but you can see right there. Look at that. It's a nice, pretty little isopod. And I got a group of them in there, and they just hang out. And I like to set this cube just wherever I'm working. And if you're a much more talented scaper than I am, you know, it can be very impressive. You could actually just wait, like you invite someone over to your house, and like usually it's downstairs, bring it upstairs to where you know they're gonna see it, you know, and show it off. Because that's the thing with aquariums, like you have to really trick people if it's not in the living room. You have to be like, oh, you know, just come downstairs for a second, or like wherever you have that take. So, like, there it is. See this?
You weirdo! Why are you trying to take me down to the basement?
You could just casually set it like where you know people are gonna see it, so you can get that satisfaction.
So what's the smallest you could keep? What's the smallest vessel with a jar? Would you be able to keep, let's say, like in a 32-ounce jar? Would you be able to keep 1 or 2 isopods in it?
I'm sure you could, or there's somewhat. That's not necessarily like I don't try to go as small as possible, but like people do it. I'm sure. You could. I'm sure.
No, we're just narrowing down the excuse, the excuse factor from our friend. We don't want to we're trying to get rid of all the outs that he could come out with, so he doesn't have a choice.
Yeah. And yeah, it's also quite. It is found in the U.S., but yeah, it's not native.
No, okay.
Most of the time you're going to be finding all those other species I mentioned. Ocellus aquaticus has a very distinctive look to it. So it kind of looks more buggy almost, because like the back set of legs, like they're longer. So to me, they kind of look more like scuds than some of the other isopods. RJ, make a jar. I don't think he has any
I sent him a clip of a guy that had like a little Tic Tac canister that he put a ant in it, and he did like a little ant thing. So that's what we got to get him to do something. It doesn't have to be aquatic, but he's got to be. If we've kind of told him, if he's going to continue to hang out with us, he's got to be taking care of something.
I think terrestrial isopods is a great thing for him, because it can be small.
And he lives in the jungle. He's in Singapore, so
oh my gosh,
he's got to lift the rock, and I'm sure
he has access to like some of the coolest stuff. What? He at least needs to ship us something. if he's not gonna keep it. But ant keeping, I just recently became friends with some ant keepers, and that is definitely a whole. I'm not diving into that, but that is a whole thing I didn't even know existed to the same degree.
I'm not doing ants. I get fish that jump out of my tanks. The last thing I need to do is a whole colony of ants getting out and running around throughout the house.
I know the ant people, they always say like, oh, they don't really escape that often. And then like you talk to them for like 15 minutes. They're like, I remember this one time the whole colony got out and was in the fridge. I'm like, listen, hold up. I'm good. Like, no, you just apply like some, baby oil to the rim every 3 days. I'm like, no, that's not gonna work for me.
That sounds like a Diddy hobby.
Exactly. That's not good. But the talcum powder, like, I'm good. I got fish that jump. At least, they can't invade.
I was gonna ask you, I know since there are terrestrials and there are aquatics, is there any type of isopods that kind of live in both worlds, that are terrestrial and can be aquatic? Kind of, I'm thinking like mud skippers and stuff like that, where they spend time in the water. And is there isopods that do that?
Yeah, so I can't remember the name. It's something I'm just kind of reading more into, but there are amphibious isopods. So that's kind of been on my mind for kind of a tank with like a water and land portion. So if someone beats me to it, let me know. But yeah, there's amphibious isopods for sure.
Yeah, because I can envision those being like in a paludarium or something like that, where you have, a terrestrial and an aquatic side.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of people ask me. They're like, a lot of people that get isopods, they're doing something like that. They're like, I want the aquatic ones like in the water part, because I want like a smaller cleanup crew thing that maybe can serve as like a snack every once in a while for whatever else I got in there. And that doesn't need that much space. I'm like, well, this seems like the thing for you. That's kind of what the purpose they serve.
Oh, okay. Now, what's the upside of having isopods in your aquarium? Why, if you were going to convince people to get isopods, what's the selling point of keeping isopods in aquariums?
Oh man. So the first thing is like, if you just like them in general, they can just be a pet. Like, I think they're cool enough on their own like that. There's something different when there's something in the aquarium that's walking around underwater. Like, they can't swim. So it's a totally
Oh,
different experience when you're watching something interact with your aquarium and it can't swim, and they like climb up things and jump off, and they're like floating slowly, wiggling their legs to the air. So there's that aspect where like they're just fun to watch. But as far as utility, they break down different things than some of the stuff we keep. So they're very good. Like in nature, one of their key roles is breaking down leaves. You know, they're in the river, so it doesn't fill up with leaves and stuff. So complex like cellulose and things like that. They have a micro what is it called? What is it called when something's like a part of you? It's like, you know, Venom from Spider-Man.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Symbiotic. There we go. They have a
Symbiotic.
symbiotic like bacteria in their stomach that helps them break down complex cellulose and things into usable nutrients. So what that comes down to is they eat not only that, but they eat small bacteria, small fungi, and algae. And they have a scraping strategy with how they eat. So that kind of helps with some algae. Some other things might not be able to kind of actually get off there. And one of the reasons why that was so cool is because I found them looking at the fish egg thing, because turns out they can eat the bacteria and the fungi off of the eggs without damaging the
Okay.
eggs. And some of the stuff that contributes to that is like their favorite snack, because they have a preference of that fungi and stuff, like to species. There's a species preference that they like to eat more than others. So it's just kind of interesting, because not only do they have a different diet, but they have a different strategy of eating. Like, you know, the shrimp, they're picking, you know, the isopods is a little different, and they're flat. So they're getting in between the rocks and stuff in ways that nothing else, no snail could ever get to.
Oh, okay. Now they don't compete, or not necessarily compete, but they don't predate on other aquatic life forms. Like
No,
say,
no. That okay. You're thank you for that, because that's the main selling point for me with them. Is everyone's kind of gotten into scuds in the last like year. I've noticed like that's become more of a thing
yeah,
people are trying. They're like scuds without any of the baggage. You know, they don't eat
okay,
plants, they don't eat fish fry, they don't eat eggs. Like, literally, there's nothing that they're predating upon. You don't have to worry about it. Whereas scuds, it's like, okay, is this going to completely ruin my fish tank? You know? So that was one of the things that also, like, even on the live food front, you know, try to feed scuds to like an apistogramma. I mean, scuds are fast, they're all over the place, and then they're in the tank forever. You know, the isopods, you watch the apistos eat them, you're like, yeah, this makes sense. It's something crawling around on the ground. They gotta look under the leaf for it. They're chasing it, and when they eat it, you're like, yeah, this is definitely something they like to eat. You know?
yeah. Because I've always heard keeping scuds with shrimp is like a no because they'll eat the little shrimplets, and you're having to. They could outcompete the shrimp supposedly. I don't
No,
know. I've never.
no,
I, I've never set up like a for profit breeding shrimp and stuff like that. So I have tanks that have scuds and they have shrimp in there, but they're just kind of part of the system. They're
yeah,
I'll pull shrimp out of there once in a while, but I'm not trying to maximize the amount of production of shrimp.
no. I mean, the scud thing is interesting because like people that are kind of like pro scud, they'll be like, well, only certain species of scuds, you know, do XYZ. But then, you know, you buy what's listed as that species, and you know, is it actually that species? Well, it seems like it's kind of a dice roll for a lot of places you order them from. So I don't like having those kind of factors floating out there. I don't want to have to think about it. So, you know, with the scuds, I don't put them in tanks that I'm gonna be upset if they do what they do. You know,
Okay. Made a mess over here. Oh,
no, you're good. You're good.
no, it's
No,
because
the
I spilled some
isopods,
water.
they can't really outcompete shrimp because the shrimp are so much stronger, faster, and better than them in every way. They can swim, they can pick up food and go off with it. So, in my experience, I've been actually taking more shrimp out of the isopod tanks because the shrimps definitely dominate the food
Oh,
way
okay.
more than the isopods can.
Yeah, no, and the other thing I was going to ask you is, oh shit, what was I going to ask? Huh, I've had a senior moment. Oh, um, with the isopods, is there like a specific diet, or do you have to purposely feed them, or you just let them graze on your aquarium and know, if they get extra food, they get extra food?
I think that in tanks where I'm not focused on breeding them, they just get extra food. I've bred them in containers where there's just like leaves in it, and I just threw them in and they bred, and I didn't feed it any other way. Um, I the species specific care requirements is something further down the line I want to look at to see if that's different. But at least for the ones that I have, they just get whatever I'm feeding in the tank or whatever happens to be growing. So I do think it's similar to shrimp in that way, where if you want to breed a bunch of them, then you should probably feed them. But like if you're
Okay.
just keeping them and want a colony, they're not going to overpopulate by accident. I don't think.
Okay. They're not. Yeah, I guess it's like snails. If you overfeed the tank, before you know it, you're overrun by snails.
Yeah.
Um,
And
but
the isopods, you
that's.
got to get. I was gonna
No,
say
go
the
ahead.
isopods, you have to have hundreds of them before you even notice that you have too many. Because I've taken like 100 isopods out of a 10-gallon tank, and it didn't look like there was 100 in there. But just over like the course of 3 days, I'm like catching them out and stuff, and I've taken 100, and like you would never know there's that many, 500 isopods in there, but there is, you know.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you, is there any requirements as far as trying to provide shelter for them in the aquarium, or you just kind of let them run loose? Is there a way to kind of protect the colony from totally being decimated by predators? I guess that's the question.
Yeah, yeah. I like rock piles. I
Mm,
think one of my first breakthroughs for like breeding shrimp in community tanks was like putting rock piles in, because a plant, there's some fish that are great at hunting in plants. They're like, thank you for giving me somewhere to hide and wait for the shrimp to come to me to eat. Like if you're like a sparkling gourami, they're not huge shrimp eaters, but like a fish like that thrives in like plants and hunting in plants. The
yeah.
plants, they only help so much. The rock piles, the fish can't move the rock. There's nothing they can do about it. So the rock piles for me, and even just a coarse sponge filter, I just messed up because I had a sponge filter I was saving in a tank I'd technically thrown isopods in before, but now there's checkerboard cichlids in there, crabinses, all sorts of things that you think would have eaten them. And I was setting up a tank for a new strain of isopods. So I was like, you know what? I need a sponge filter. This is my last one. There's no way there's any isopods in there. The moment I put the sponge filter in there, isopods I've never seen in the last 6 months came out of it. So, there definitely can persist with predators if you give them rock piles or even just a coarse sponge filter that they can live in. They're very good, and they have different strategies. Like they're one of those things that they'll just stop moving
Mm,
until it
did
goes
you?
away, or I've thrown them in a killifish tank, and like they float slowly. So if you just throw them in there, like that's the worst place for them to be, is slowly floating down with their legs wiggling, like very appetizing. The killifish came, tried to go and swallow it. The isopod rolled into a ball, so it's too big to be swallowed. And eventually the killifish gave up and spat it out. That spot ran off. So they do have some tricks up their sleeves as far as avoiding getting eaten if you just give them a chance.
Okay. Now, how well do they ship? I guess that was the original question I had. Is when it comes to shipping, I know some fish can be kind of difficult. Shrimp, hit or miss. Are isopods fairly easy to ship?
I mean, I will go band for band with any other aquatic creature as far as shipping. I think that they might be the best because, I mean, I've had people get them and they did the temperature of the water. The water's like 36 degrees. I just got one. I sell some other stuff on eBay. I accidentally mixed up the labels. It shipped USPS ground to this person. They got them. Like, I don't want aquatic isopods. Did return sender. They were in the mail and USPS ground for 15 days. And they just got back on the 30th. So I sent them on the 14th of January. They got here on the 30th of January. Every isopod was alive. They're happy. I've shipped like over 1,000 isopods at this point, and I've never lost any because of weather or anything like that. So they're just like pretty incredible as far as shipping goes, I would say.
And they're not susceptible to like ammonia or anything like that. Like, that's usually what ends up killing your fish when you ship them. Besides, weather, is that they have a spike because you didn't void their bowels properly before shipping them and stuff like that. Is that an issue that you've experienced with these, or they're pretty bulletproof when it comes to shipping them?
I mean, they're hardy, but they're gonna die to poor water quality like anything else at a certain point. So, sometimes people, they ask if things are hardy because they know that they're going to put it through hell. you know,
That'd be
like,
me.
yeah, I think they're pretty hardy, but like they're capable of dying just like anything else. They're not invincible, but they're small. They don't produce a lot of waste. So in my experience, they've shipped well, and their temperature tolerance is very, very wide. So that helps.
How about water parameters? Can they live in a big range?
So that's another thing where I can't wait to identify species so I can speak more educated on that front. From my experience, they do seem to have a big range, and everything I read indicates that they kind of have a big range. I have soft water that's below 7 pH most of the time. I breed them no problem, and I know people with like harder water that breed them no problem. So yeah, they don't seem particularly fussy as far as all that goes.
Oh, okay. Now, is it something like you have to be very careful with, dramatic swings, whether it's parameters or temperatures? Are they pretty resilient when it comes to that too?
With temperatures, I haven't noticed anything. I would not, drop the pH from like, 7 to 5 or something like that. Like, I think, again, just like anything else,
Okay.
you don't want to. And like, hey, can it survive being hit with a hammer? Maybe.
Yeah, can I run my truck over it and it'll be all right?
Like, yeah, maybe, but like, please don't. Please don't. But and especially with pH, like I've been listening to more videos around, and Fishery just did a video on pH, how it's like a logarithmic scale or whatever. So it's like, 6 to 7 is like 10 times or 100 times. Like it seems like a small change, but a 6 to 7 pH change is like massive.
Yeah, we're familiar with the Richter scale for earthquakes down here, and it's 10 times whatever increment.
Yeah,
So
it's
okay. I get it.
Yep, it's exactly that. Well, I'm glad I didn't need earthquakes to learn that. So, like, yeah, we're familiar with the Richter scale.
Yeah, because people go, "Oh, that was a 6, but that was only a 6.5. Why was it stronger?" It's like, because it's you have these increment factors. It's not linear.
Wow, that's crazy. No, it's a good. The isopods are just something that I could read about them for hours. I love them. But fish is like also on the same level. It's just that I've only really talked about the isopods. So that's
I know,
like,
and we'll get to the rest of the stuff. But
no, I'm the isopod guy, but I'm trying to embrace it. Like I've started saying, yeah, I have the most viewed video on YouTube about aquatic isopods. At the dot, there's like 5. There's like 5 videos. So, but I'm trying to like embrace it because the isopod agenda, like I feel like they just needed someone to literally just talk about them, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be that guy that'll just not shut up.
Yeah, no, that's fine. No, like I said, this is all. I know this has been going on for a little bit. People have been talking about isopods, but again, you're the first channel that I've come across where I was able to sit there, watch a video that was specifically about isopods, and I thought it was really interesting. Now, when it comes to, because I know one of the idea behind it is not only to keep them as decorative or part of the ecosystem, but you said also as food. What's their nutrient, I guess, levels compared to some of the other live foods that are out there? Are they on par with that? Better, worse?
So, I mean, I haven't been able to find like a great resource that breaks down the nutrition, but like from what I can tell, It's kind of similar, to scuds. They got the carotenoids and like the color enhancing stuff in them all the same. And from my testing, things like eating them. So I think down the line they're gonna be a big live food, in my opinion, because it seems like a lot of fish eat them naturally.
Mm.
They're easy to culture, and they're not destructive. So I do think eventually, when more people have them as pets and stuff, you'll get those guys that are like, all right, well, my pea puffers are looking hungry, and I got some extra isopods. Let me throw some in there. And that's a little bit easier than feeding them, scuds or some other things, or just adds more variety if you do already do those things.
Yeah, yeah, but their exoskeleton is not hard enough where it'll help maintain the teeth on a puffer or anything like that, right?
No, they're not that hard at all. No, the pea puffers go through them like butter. I mean,
Oh,
it's absolutely brutal what they eat though. They, it's not. There's no resistance. It's just chomp. Half the isopod is gone.
now, okay, so we've talked about what you've been doing with the isopods. Now, you also have some aquariums behind you. How many aquariums do you have in your fish room?
So I knew you were gonna ask me this, and I hadn't counted in a while. So I've broken 40 now.
Oh, okay.
So I got 40. They're mostly smaller, but I got 40 tanks, um, and a lot of different fish breeding projects going on, and that's what those are mostly for. Some are isopod tanks, but most of it is fish. Most of it is fish.
Now, what kind of fish are you focusing on when it comes to breeding? I know you said killies. Is it mostly killies?
I got killifish. I like Crebensis. I got 3 species of Pelvicochromis that I keep. I got 2 different species of checkerboard cichlids I'm trying to
Oh,
breed.
okay.
I got 2 species of rainbows that 3 that I'm working on. I got the lamp-eye killifish, Congo tetras. I'm just started collecting eggs from those. I'm excited about that. Trying to get those going. So I won't say there's like a specifics. It's fish that I like. You know,
Okay.
it's fish that I like. So CPDs, peacock gudgeons. I got a nice size fry batch of those. I'm excited about.
Now, if
So
people were interested in buying from you, do you have a website set up, or how do they get in touch with you to be able to purchase?
the fish, I mostly don't sell any fish yet. Like
Oh,
I
okay.
take them to the local clubs, but inmytanks.com, I'm like just made it. It's kind of like starting to be constructed, and that's where anything I sell like will be in the future. Like that's where you can buy isopods and the magenta mystery snails and things like that. He's got the dramatic lighting in the empty chair. He comes in, whoosh, he's back.
No, I got my garage door open, and
Oh, that's
I I
cool.
was I was trying to get. It was getting to the point where my half of my face was getting baked. So I had to roll down the gate. I mean the garage door to where the sun's not directly hitting me in the face. It's
Uh,
hot today. Fish room's sitting at 85, and it's supposed to be
Damn,
wintertime.
man, I'm jealous. I'm
Well, I'm
jealous.
sitting in a t-shirt in my garage, with the garage door open. So it's not. Yeah, I think our winter is over. It's too short.
Gosh, gosh. No, I wish my room was that warm right now. It was like
Yeah, I'm
5 degrees the other week, and I was dying. It's like, please make it stop. Please make it stop.
So when do you think you'll start? Or the fish, is that something that you probably just rather offload locally because it'll be easier to do versus having to actually ship stuff? That's always the big crutch or obstacle that most people have to overcome. And then cost oh, that's the other thing. How easy or inexpensive is it to ship the isopods versus trying to ship a bag of water,
Well, it
and
depends.
fish?
It depends on how cheap you are. I mean, you could probably ship them USPS like below 8 or 9, a priority like below $8 or $9, like to most places. Um, I don't really spend a lot of time trying to maximize savings on that, just because that's just not how I am. But some people, they'll try and do like the wet paper towel thing or stuff like that. I think it's the most that you're gonna pay shipping them in a bag of water. USPS priority is like $10,
Okay.
77 cents. It's not bad. It's not bad. But I don't do it the cheapest way necessarily.
Okay. Are you familiar with Fish Fam Link?
Fish Fam Link. His Fish
That
Fam
is
links. I'm not.
Matt. He's one of the members of the community. He set up this page. It's kind of it's like a website, I guess. Well, no, not guess. It is a website. But
Mm.
what's really neat about it is that you can register on there for free, and you can put all your social media contacts, emails, um, YouTube channels, Instagram, whatever it is that they can find you on,
Oh, yeah, I see.
and
This
it's
looks cool.
one place shop, so that if you have a business, you can put your store in there, the links to your store and stuff like that. It's a really nice resource, and when you
Oh,
go
wow.
live, it'll send out a notification to anybody that has the app that you're going live. So it's a good way to
Oh,
also build.
there's an app too.
Yeah, there's an app to it,
Wow. Wow. Okay. No, that's awesome. I'll definitely set that up. Say
and
less.
it's been a good resource. It helps me find channels that I haven't seen before. And what I like about the app, it could be good and bad at the same time. Because there'll be days where the phone's just the bells ding 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 because there'll be so many people going live, and you don't necessarily have to be subscribed to their channel to get the notification that they're going live.
Right.
That's the part that I like, because it'll reach other people that might not be aware that you're on YouTube. So that's what's cool about it.
Well, that's when I saw, like, when I was going through your episodes, I was like, wow, you find a lot of like cool channels from like other countries and stuff, people to talk to, and that is something I like about the hobby a lot, is how international it is. You know, it feels like something where it's very easy if you get into it to really broaden your horizons, like even beyond fish, just by just meeting more and more people that are all into different things. You know?
Yeah, no, and you could be keeping the same species, but it might be a little bit different for their experience as to what they're doing, because conditions are different. Availability is another issue. We some stuff we take for granted. Other countries wish they could get their hands on it. I was talking for Natural Aquariums, which is out of Germany. I guess like African cichlids are a big thing over there, and
Mm,
sometimes it can be a little bit difficult to get a hold of. And down here, like I said, in the state of Arizona, you can't give them away. It's just because
yeah.
we have the perfect conditions. We have the temperature, we have the water, the hardness. So, they thrive. And, I know, like in the Northwest, they have to add stuff to their water to be able to have the conditions that they need for them. So,
Yeah, no,
yeah.
I'm the Europeans, like, they have a lot of cool fish that I wish, were easier to get. Even just being over there, close to Africa, all that stuff, like the killifish and things like that. You go in Aquabid and you see a cool fish, you click on it, and then you see that, like, in Germany, and just like cry a tear, like, I wish I need to find an excuse to go over there.
So what's your plan with your channel? What's your ambition? What are you trying to do?
So for me, the breeding and stuff is what I do for fun. So, like,
Okay.
I never wanted, the isopods, they're a function of the isopod agenda. Like, for me, selling them is like about getting them out there and like spreading awareness about them. So I will sell stuff that I breed and things, but to me, the channel is all about just more educational adjacent topics that I feel like are interesting to me. Maybe people haven't talked about enough, and just providing another voice, another perspective on fish related topics. I feel like my ambition is, I come from a lot of different hobbies, backgrounds, and I feel like I have a unique set of a unique mindset, so I think I'll have different opinions and different things to say than some of the existing people. I mean, even just a function of me being younger. Like you said, there's not that many people my age, my demographic, keeping fish, and I think it would be fun to find those people, because one of my frustrations with the clubs is I like sell shrimp locally,
Hmm.
put a posting on Reddit, and the people that show up are like who I wish were at the clubs. They're young, they're like in college. They've never heard of a fish club in their life. They don't
Yeah.
necessarily watch a lot of fish YouTube videos. So, part of my thing is like, how can I connect all these people that are like keeping fish, keeping isopods in this bubble?
I'll
What
tell you
did
how.
what's that? Fish fam?
No, you have that background. You have that background, and you start playing video games, and you're going to
Oh
get
my
the younger
god.
generation that watch you stream, and they'll start looking at the background and going, "What's that behind you?" And
Oh my
that's where
gosh.
that's the hook.
I mean, there's something to that for sure. I thought about, but I think even just like the way I consume so much content, like editing styles, things where I know that if you make it easier to watch, but not necessarily like trying to do a billion cuts, but just like there's some subtle things you can do that, like a lot of people they'll say like, oh, I like your video, like it feels fresh, it feels different. It's because I just come from a different place and
Yeah.
content and stuff, so I kind of have an advantage as far as that goes.
Well, that is one thing that really stands out. Also, is in your videos is your ability to capture the images. They're always very clear, very crisp. I don't know what you're using for equipment. There's a few people in this community that's like their talent is being able to capture these images,
Yeah.
and and it's always, I wish I had that ability. But you look at my videos, it's all glare, all the glasses, and people have told me, oh well, you got to just drape something over or turn off these lights. I've tried playing around with it, and of
Yeah.
course, I try to get a little bit better. As I spend time doing this. At first, it was just kind of like a joke. Here's the old guy trying to do YouTube videos, and but now it's kind of like I don't know if I necessarily enjoy the making of the video as much as I enjoy doing this. Getting to
Yeah.
meet people like you, getting to connect with just about everybody in the chat at some point or another. I've had an interaction with them, whether it's on a live stream like this or on somebody else's live stream, or just commentating back and forth. And I've always said this, that would not be possible if it wasn't for social media. I mean, half of these people don't live, well, not half, all of these people don't live where I live.
Right.
So for us to cross paths, it would have been zero to none, and even if we cross paths, unless it was at an event, we could have been walking by each other, and that was it. That was the opportunity to meet that person that shared the same interests you did. Oh, the other thing I was laughing about, because you were talking about how to bring people in from using the other hobbies. The next time you guys do a music video, you got to be walking around with your little terrarium in the video instead of having the fancy chains and the cars. You got to come out with your expensive high tech aquarium in the video.
No, I thought about that. I think something like I kind of lost my train of thought. But with the conversations, I kind of had a mental block. I have a lot of videos filmed and in different processes of editing, but I kind of had a mental block finishing the videos. It does take a lot of time. Sometimes I like to be like, oh yeah, I edit that easy, but like it takes a long time to like edit a video. And even with the footage, like you said, like uh I don't like when B-roll repeats. So
No.
I try and make sure every clip, for the most part, hasn't been used. But if you're only using it for 5 seconds, you got to have a lot of footage. You got hours of footage. So, I spend all day in front of the tank filming different things. So when I had the video, it's like new stuff. And with the isopods, it's hard to get good footage of them. So I really wanted to make sure you could see as many different angles, close up, really see what they're like. But I hit a block and I was like, but I want to be out there talking, connecting. And that's why a few days ago, I just started going live and just talking about things. Because it's just like you said, it's like, this is so much easier to just bounce back and forth off the chat or someone else and, really connecting and trading ideas.
Let's see. I'm gonna go check out your channel real quick, and I'm gonna show them the video that I kind of came across. Was it this one? And you can kind of walk them through, because I need to run to the restroom real quick. Oh shit! What did I do? There you go. Pushing buttons. All right, I want this tab back up here because I don't want to. There we go. Present this, share the screen, and yep. Introduction to isopods.
Yo, this chat's hilarious.
I know they. All right, so I'll have you kind of talk it through. I'm gonna be right back. I gotta use the restroom. So.
Oh my gosh, he wants me to impromptu narrate the video. Okay. So this is the video that he said he liked, Intro to Aquatic Isopods. And it's funny because, I thought about making this video for like a year before I made it. So, oh my God, my hair. So, it's hard to condense stuff. So that's why I just went with the title intro. And, I'm kind of going like, hey, you might know the terrestrial isopods, but look, there's aquatic ones. And, talking about footage, like that's why you see I got all the macro footage, because I think it's important that you are able to see what the things look like. It's not just some blurry footage of them on like a little soup container or something. So, and you notice there, I got the scientific references coming up, because that's another thing that's like a pet peeve for me with videos, is sometimes they'll reach a point in the information where they'll go, we don't really know about this, or, this is what people say. In my first video about them, I wanted to be able to be like, hey, we actually do know some things. Here's the scientific research. You can go read. This is the source. It's not a third-party source to some care sheet. Like, this is the information. And if you want, if you're really into it, you can just go deep into there. So I'm trying to cite a research paper or something in every single video that I do, like try and cite a couple, because I think that's something I want to help people realize, is some of the questions you have that maybe a YouTuber doesn't have an answer to, you might be able to find out there in the wild.
Well, one of the things, like I said, this is what I really appreciate, is the time and effort to really capture the quality of these videos. I don't know if you guys can see this, but it's just, I mean, the filming, you don't get any glare on the glass. It's just that, to me, that just kind of captivates me and makes me watch, and what makes your videos very enjoyable to me.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. And I film everything. It's like a rule I have for myself. I only use the light that's on the tank, like aquarium lights. So it's no like, I don't, for this video, I didn't even do any of the black sheet stuff. I just really, this is what it actually looks like. This is the light that's really on it. And even though I put a lot of effort into the visual, I'm a podcast person. So I also try and make the videos so like you don't have to watch it to get the information. That's like something that's big for me, because I like listening to videos. I don't really watch them very often. So it's funny you always, like you say, the visual thing, because I try to hit for both kinds of people, like people that want to see and people that just want to listen.
Yeah, I'm a visual learner. I'm horrible about reading. I fall asleep every time I try to read. I'll get 2 paragraphs in and I'm yawning, and it's kind of like, man, I wish it wasn't like that, because so much information's out there. But it's always been like that for me. I'm more of what you're doing here, watching the video, listening to what you're having to say, the information you're providing. To me, it's just, I don't know. I'm more, that's the way I learn better. And it plays in real well from when I'm at work too, because I can have the screen minimized and I can kind of glance at it while I'm doing some other stuff at work and stuff like that. So
right.
And when you hit on something, I go, oh shit, I'll look over and look at it and go, oh, okay, that's what he's talking about. So it's a good point of reference.
Glassbox Diaries asked me what camera and lens I use. I use a Canon EOS R6 Mark II, and the lens I use in this video primarily is their RF 100mm 2.8. For this kind of stuff, you need a macro lens. I think it has 2:1 magnification, and I think if you're filming anything aquarium related, something with a low aperture, like something good at low light, is the most important thing, because I think that's what is really limiting with people trying to film aquarium stuff, is their equipment doesn't have the flexibility to adapt to the lighting that they have. If you can't capture something that's in the dark, clearly,
this is the equipment.
That's the one thing about the phones, is like that because they can film really good stuff, but if you have a darker aquarium or something,
Yeah.
like it looks like a potato, you know. So unfortunately, unless you have the ability where the camera can let in a lot of light, it's really limiting as far as that. And even the macro lens, like something that can actually focus that close. You know, my camera is touching the aquarium glass when I'm filming this video. And then beyond that, a camera that, you know, can record in a high enough resolution. So if you do want to get closer, you can crop it in, but it doesn't look, you know, like you massacred the quality.
Yeah. Your videos remind me a lot of Fathom Aquatics. He's another guy that's really into being filming really good high quality images. And you know, I'm always admiring your guys' work because I've tried doing it, and I know there's a lot of effort that goes into it that sometimes doesn't get appreciated. People just kind of gloss over it, don't understand how much work is going into it. So I like to point it out when I see it. I recognize it, and I was like, yeah, this person really put in some time and effort to make sure. Totally opposite of what I do. I'm the worst kind of content creator on the face of the earth because I don't give a shit if it's. You'll see my logos of my t-shirts on the glass of what I'm filming.
But I like it, 'cause I do think the quality in some ways is overrated, because you might get to like where I am, where it's like, well, you haven't posted a video in like 3 years, you know, like
That's
so like that's why I started live streaming. It's like I'd rather do something lower quality to actually have something to be like, yeah, the highest quality stuff, but he only posts once every 6 months, like, you know.
but you know, but even those, because you go like what's Nothing About Fish, or what is it? Nothing About the guy that posts. He only drops like a video once a year, and the guy has been blowing up because every time everybody's waiting for him to drop a new video. And it's one of those things, but it's kind of like he also does the progression where he records like when he sets it up.
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, I don't know. I forget his name, but it's a real simple name. But I just can't.
I'm
I
terrible
can't.
with names. I'm
Yeah.
so bad.
I got so many names that I keep storing from people that I keep meeting. That
Yeah.
you know, unless there's a real significant connection to that name, I tend to forget it. You know, it's just I'll recognize it, I'll see it, and I'll know, oh, that I know who that is. But sometimes the recall on that is kind of like I got to go through this big Rolodex of information that where is it?
I'm the same. I'm exactly the same way. And I always tell people when they're talking about quality, I'm like, my favorite fish YouTuber is Fishery.
Okay.
Fishery. He's my favorite. And you know, I like long videos. Like I said, I like listening and stuff. But what
There
I
you go.
tell people, even himself, he's constantly complaining, like, I just don't edit. Like, people want me to edit more. I'm like, bro, this is what I like. I don't need the fancy quality and stuff. The information is also the most important part for me. And to me, he's always covering the stuff that I'm into. So
Yeah, these are definitely old people problems. We don't. Although that's not true. I'm trying to think. I know Charles Fish Geek. Fish Geek. He does some really good recording, but he's also like into all the cameras and stuff like that. I guess that's the one commitment I haven't made yet is making the investment on a high quality camera. Um, for me, it's because I know you guys will sit down and plan a video. You guys will try to, and I know you do because it has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and you hit all your points you're trying to put in your videos. When I mean you is like you and Alex and some of the other people that make these high quality videos. But then again, that's why they're quality videos, because you guys have really put some thought, some planning and all that stuff for them. Where I walk in here and go, oh, I'm gonna do a video about this, and I pull it out and I start talking. And I'll rewatch my videos sometimes, and I go, God damn, you were just rambling and never got to the
oh my
point.
god.
But
No,
if I don't do that, if I sit there and try to think about it, I'll never get it done.
I
I'll
mean,
never get it done.
I struggle with the same thing. So I'm trying to adapt how I kind of like my workflow is. And what I've settled on, that at least helps me get the video done eventually is, I have my script. That's the voiceover, and that
Yeah.
will be like the beginning, middle, end. I'm like, okay, that's the voiceover I plan. Then I set up the camera and I just talk about the topic. And then so all the shots of me sitting here, that's just like whatever I came up with, off the top of my head. And then the voiceover stuff is like what I actually wrote out to make sure the video makes sense when I'm done with it. Like, okay, wait, did I cover this? Okay, the voiceover has that. I'll put that here in the middle. What's the ending? Okay, I'll put that here. All right, we're good. We're good. We're good.
Yeah. Now, how mobile are you right now in your setup?
I'm on my laptop. I'm relatively
Do you know
mobile.
what I'm getting at? Do you have a camera that where you can probably show us a little bit of your tanks?
I
Is that a
mean,
possibility or?
I could sit up with my. I mean, the audio might go. I I
Oh, so
could
it's fine. If
technically.
it's
I
too
could
much trouble,
technically.
no. I know,
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
some people
I'm
usually have
also
their phone.
I'm insecure too because my room's like it's not like totally like that rack there I just put there the other day. So like across
Come
from
on,
it,
we're
it's like
we're all real
all
fish keepers. None of us keep immaculate tanks except where you're gonna do a
okay.
video.
Let me if I switch to my built-in mic, tell me if it sounds all right too, because then I could walk around a little bit. How's this? Can you hear
Yeah,
me?
sounds good.
All right. We could do a little bit of walking.
Yeah, you don't have to do the entire thing. Maybe just the ones that are real easy for you to access.
Right, okay. So this is my second oldest tank. It's a 40-gallon breeder. We call it Matanui, which is
Let
the
me.
Bionicles Island. That's what we call it. Matanui. And it's got my lampi killifish in there, liver catopus. And I've been breeding these. I kind of found an interesting way because I like trying to breed things in community tanks. Right now, there's an Episto, I think he's right there. That's Epistogramma Elizabethae. And then I have my Hillstream colony and some super reds. And I'm not seeing a bunch right now, but there's a good amount of them in those rocks. That rock pile goes like all the way down to the bottom of the tank. So you might see a baby Hillstream right there in those rocks.
Oh yeah. I saw him
Yeah,
zipping by.
yeah. So this is a fun one. It also has magenta mystery snails in there. I supply a local fish store with them. I got them make a locally bred sticker, so I was pretty proud of myself. I take them like 40 every month.
Nice.
Let me see. That's another fun one. Ooh, I'll show you the galars. This is the fish that I need to breed the most. This is
the blue galaris or
blue galars. Yes. Do you see them there?
It's amazing how big they are. I didn't realize how big they got.
That's from the low collection point, LOE. And if he turns to the side, you'll see he's got great red body, got the blue stripes, and his trident tail is coming in. If you would just turn.
So this guy's a juvenile?
No. This guy, he's an adult. He's an adult. He is a little bigger. They're personable. I'll feed them with my hands sometimes. They'll eat food out of your hands. And I have them in here with panda quarries. So I don't know how well you can see this tank, but there he is. Yep. There he is. This is another killifish here.
Now, have you done a tour of your fish room yet on your channel?
No, I haven't done one. I don't know when I would do one because I feel like I don't want to be like, hey, you need like 40 fish tanks. So I kind of
but the reason it's selfish because we want to see what you're doing. I mean, I'm pretty sure all of us in the chat, we all kind of like to look at what fellow hobbyists are doing.
For sure.
It's not for shit talking and go, oh, look at his tanks are worse than mine. It's just I'm always curious. I'm always curious to see what other people are doing and how they keep their aquariums because there's stuff that you can learn from it.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I'll watch the 2-hour fish room tours. I definitely am just like, once I get the room set up how I want it to be, then I'm gonna rock it. But this is I like low boys a lot. This is a 20-gallon low boy. I've got some Decrossus maculatus checkerboard cichlid in here. I got a group of them. That's a big male back there that's kind of staring at me like, yo, you again? Like, please. But I like these tanks because they're not too tall, so you can stack them. So I actually got 3 on here, but this is my
Nice.
favorite. This is my favorite one. So I'm trying to
Yeah.
give the fish more space.
What I like about the low boys too is that it makes growing plants a lot easier because they have better access to light. You don't have to worry about par as much.
Yeah, exactly. No, exactly. This one's mostly, it's got like Percatopus fry in it, chili rasboro. It's like a fry tank basically.
Okay.
Just because they grow out faster. But I've been experimenting with using coco coir as a substrate. So this tank is different as it has coco coir solely as the substrate pretty much.
Okay.
And that's been working out for me pretty well, actually. It's been working out.
How bad were the tannin phase on it?
It wasn't too bad, honestly. And you can boil it first to kind of help lessen that if you want. This is a 20 high. It's got another kind of checkerboard in it. They're still a little smaller. And then my CPDs with the egg trap there. So, there's some cherry shrimp in there. Look at that. Over here, it's a 20 long. You see, I got some Frey Cox rainbows in there. This is like my overgrown tank.
Those are some of the ones you're breeding?
These ones, yeah, I haven't pulled eggs from these yet. I've been breeding these guys. This is I want to say I don't even know how to say it. Melatonin. But the location has been Dola Creek. I bought them from Marcel on Aquabid, and they've been good. I've been getting eggs from them. But they're a little bit, they're one of those subtle beauty kind of fish. That's kind of like what I'm into. This is a isopod tank I just set up. This is a fresh isopod tank. There's some on the sponge filter back there.
So definitely leaf litter is probably a good idea for those isopods then, right?
Yeah, I really like leaf litter a lot. And in here, I don't know if you guys see, back there is a big one. That's the black morph one that I was talking about.
Oh, okay.
This is another isopod tank. And I don't know if you can see them on this camera, but there's some in the front here.
That's also got some of that that cocoa fiber as substrate, right?
Yeah, I mix a little bit of it in most of my tanks now, just because it's nice having a loose thing. Things can like dash in it, hide in it.
Do you find it that it lowers your pH?
From my understanding, it's actually pH neutral, so I haven't noticed it lower the pH very much. Can you see the isopods in here at all?
I'm not picking them up, but then again, I might not know what I'm looking for.
I can't really even see what the camera can see, so it's hard.
Yeah.
But
that's
there
fine.
Are some in the front here.
But now, I saw one moving around. But here's the thing now that you've kind of teased us with your fish room, now you got to do a proper tour.
I mean, this is a proper tour. This is the tank that the whole isopod video you liked was filmed in.
Oh, okay.
This is that tank, and I keep them with my blue
Neos. A ton of blue shrimp in there.
Oh yeah. And the isopods are there too, but they're just hard to see compared to the shrimp. But that's why it's nice when you get these bigger ones. This is a plant, I think a hygrophila, like sunset. This is my new favorite plant because it grows so fast, so easily. That's what I like. I do not like having to try to keep a plant alive. Oh my gosh. I'm trying to find my crabinses I really like. That's a baby. This is my community of killifish. I said that they just spawn. I just throw them in there.
Okay.
That's the Aphysemium bivitatum funge. And then back there
they got those cool little white spots on their tails.
Yeah, they can get some trails. And that male back there, maybe he'll flare his fins for us. They really flare them out when they're trying to show off. And even the females, there's one at the top there. They have some color still. They still have the 2 lines. They still have some spots in the fin. This guy's looking at me like he wants to show off. So I'm kind of hoping he turns to the side. I don't know what you got going on. You look kind of big, actually. Are you okay? Did you just eat something? Look at his stomach. His stomach is like huge, bro.
I got a shrimp.
Yeah, maybe.
A slow shrimp.
Maybe. This guy has some nice color down here.
Oh, okay. I've never seen those killies before.
Yeah, this actually the logo. Oh, he's doing it with the fins flare now. You see that?
Oh wow.
Yeah, that isn't even. He's actually kind of got small fins. Not to insult him, but usually, well, maybe
Size matters. You can
this
ask
might.
Sarah.
No, it's true. Oh my god, bro. Wait, this guy, he might respond because this is what they kind of do. Like one guy will flare, and the other guy will be like, "Okay, but watch this." I'm trying to see if this guy is gonna spin back. But yeah, it's a fun fish. So I got them in here. Oh, there's the crib. That's the
Oh, there he is.
cribensis. That's a female. So the females are actually more colorful with the cribensis. Um, they're the ones that kind of are the aggressors, so they get to be prettier. And that's her baby there. They're good parents. Um, I love those guys. It's my Congos, my school Congos.
So I know the question is always, I know we keep the fish we keep because we like them.
Yeah.
But which is the one species of fish you're the proudest of that you actually have, and it's like, all right, these. Not that you like them any less, but that you're kind of proud that you were able to get them.
I mean, I really like this crib, but I don't know if you see her there.
Yeah.
I mean, these are Pelvicachromis drachenfelsii. Their parents were wild caught. I have a whole colony of them in here, and they're just a small crib, good community fish, really personable. Like the first fish that I almost named. I'm glad I didn't name them because, like, I think if I name one of the fish when they eventually pass away, I'll just be devastated. I'm already like, I'm really bad when things pass away. Like, I get pretty emotional, but it's just a very pretty fish, and I'm proud to be able to watch them like generation raise their kids and just be like, hey, I provided good enough care that we're keeping this going. And
What's the orange looking like? Is that a killifish?
Yep, that's a Fundulopanchex gardneri gold.
Okay. Oh, yep. Okay. The male's in the back, right? And that's a female in the front?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm used to seeing the red spotting on them.
Yeah, no, that's gold. I'm trying to think one that I'm super well. If I get babies from this guy, I'll be very proud.
Oh, what is that?
This is a Pistogramma McMasteri gold shoulder.
Oh,
and
okay.
I actually there's a female in this cave. I keep it darker on purpose right now, this tank. But there's the female back there, and she is on eggs right now. You see her poking her head out?
Yes.
Yes. So she's on eggs. She's laid eggs like 3 times in the last month or so, and she keeps eating them. So like I'm really hoping this time it sticks. Cause like look at how beautiful that guy is. Like yeah. I've given them this tank because they're just stunning. I don't need anything else in there. I got some pencil fish that you will never be able to see up there in the octopus, but it's just a very pretty fish, and I'll be proud. I'll be extremely proud if I'm able to keep those ones going. Those and the wild beta. The wild beta.
Which actually, do you have?
I have the strawberry.
You don't have to show me. I'm just curious which species you have.
I have the strawberry beta, and I can't pronounce the Latin name, but the male, they're mouth brooder, and the male actually does have eggs in his mouth.
Okay.
And that's one that I'm like, it happened within 5 days of getting them, so I can't really say I bred them because like I just got them and I had eggs in his mouth.
Hey, they're gonna be born in your tank. That counts.
Okay, I got one last one. So this tank, I'm gonna set this species up in their own tank soon, but this tank has Scarlet Batis in there.
Oh, did you find a pair?
I have 2 females.
Oh, no male?
No, I have 3 males and 2 females in here.
So I hear the females are really hard to come by.
Yeah, that's well, there's one actually. There's a female right here. You see her there?
Yeah, that most places only sell you the males. They don't have any, or if they do, they don't want to sell the females.
Yeah, no, my London Town Tropicals, that is my local fish store, and they had 2 females in there I picked out. And then I think I found a Cenepa red pencilfish female too. So if I'm able to breed those, that'll be my new most proud of fish.
Okay.
So, and the rice fish. Do you like rice fish?
Yeah.
I got some rice fish in here. I'm working on some
Let
orange
me
ones.
let me finish closing this garage door. Hold on.
No, you got it. Those are some snakeskin koi guppies. It's a guppy I actually do like. And yeah, some Medaka. I'm trying to work on this orange line. I'm trying to make an orange one that's a little sparklier and has long fins also. So there's a few in there with the long fin trait. I mixed a long fin orange one that didn't have much sparkle, like the Emperor Medaka, with amber glitter. And this is what I've been getting so far. These guys, you can see the long fins on them appear a little bit better. Yeah, let me turn my brightness down again. Yeah, these guys, you can really tell that they have the long fin trait on some of them. But,
and those have been laying eggs for you?
Yeah, these are my fry. So I'm trying to make a orange long fin that has a lot of sparkle on it. That's my goal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so this is, I don't know if you'll be able to see, but I have my peacock gudgeon fry in there. There's a bunch of them. But they're very small.
I get a kick out of those guys because the males will get a what do they call it? Knuckle hook? No.
Yeah,
hump?
Yep. Yeah, they're a lot of fun. They're a lot of fun. I love those. So yeah, that's the you guys get the sneak peek fish room tour. Will probably be like forever until I actually do one.
Well, it's I guess this is the right demographic to show, because a breeding tank is very different than a display tank. There's certain things that you'll let a breeding tank get away with, whether it's extra moam in it and stuff like that, because you're trying to raise fry, and it's more conducive to doing that. But
yeah,
although
for me, I try and make breeding tanks and display tanks like as close as
possible,
because to me, I want things to be breeding in whatever tank they're in. Like, that's kind of my goal. That's why my tanks are like all the way that they are, because I'm trying to breed things in all of my tanks.
Got it.
But yeah, I'm hoping to do the Scarlet Baddest. That'll be a fun one.
Yeah, that'll be real interesting. I know a lot of people have been wanting to do them, but they just can't seem to come across a female. And
yeah,
it's just, and I don't know how difficult they really are though once you get them going. So it'll be interesting to see what your progression is with them.
Yeah, if I do them, I'll make a video. I tell myself I'm not going to make a video on anything I haven't kept and bred and then raised up the fry of. Like, I want to be able to like talk about every small like anecdotal thing I notice with them. Even just breeding them isn't enough. Like, I want to really have watched them for a while. Tried them with a few other fish, so I can say, hey, you can keep them with this fish. I want to keep them with that fish.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, but well, we've talked about your journey through this. I'm super impressed. It hasn't been that long, and how much you've been able to accomplish in such a short time. I know that you're working on producing isopods to kind of inundate the market and be able to get them reasonably inexpensive.
Yeah.
So anything else that we haven't touched on that you'd like to share with the rest of us, or
no? I mean,
pretty much good.
I think we've touched on most of it. I'm trying to do my part to put good information out there on the things that I'm interested in, and the people that are also interested in those things and have been looking for information on it. Hopefully, I can help them, find and give them a direction to go so they can also read on their own.
Yeah.
Because I'm not interested in doing like, hey, here's the exact what you need to do, X, Y, Z. Like, it's more like bring people to water. Here's the information. You're gonna have to read more yourself, because if you give someone an exact blueprint, I find the trap that I've fallen into, I see people fall into, is they're like, well, if I do X, Y, Z and I keep it at this pH, like, I'm gonna be successful. But then when something goes wrong, you're like, wait, I did all the things. What do I do now? Like, I'm lost, you know? So I like just doing broad, general stuff.
Well, and then, not everybody's situation is going to be exactly the same as you. So just
Exactly.
giving them the general information about how to do this,
Yeah.
kind of giving you the important points so that you can take that information and adapt it to whatever your situation is. Big Steve wants to know if you're going to be at the meeting next Sunday.
I will be at the meeting next Sunday. I'll be bringing fish. I'll be bringing isopods.
I think he said he saw a pair of blue galaras that might have his name on them.
No, I'm not bringing any Galaris this time, unfortunately. But I'm not sure. I'll bring a pair of cribs for sure, and maybe I'll bring some ice fish. But the fish stuff, I'm still just breeding, stockpiling fish, and just trying to again, that's just what I enjoy. So I'm not getting rid of a lot of them at the moment yet.
Yeah.
But these guppies, though, they're gonna have to get eaten or something.
So I know at the beginning you had kind of touched on the fact that you have a music group, or you were doing music. Have you guys done anything like recorded stuff that we could go check out, or are you guys just still like in the garage stage?
I mean, we have stuff out there that people can find. It's not super active right now. One of our members has been in Ghana for like over a year. So that's kind of like, something that I don't really do too much. But I mean, we've traveled around performing and stuff. That was a whole chapter, of my life where I was really doing a lot of that. People can find it if they want. I'm gonna keep it to fish right now.
What's the name of the club that you participate in?
I participate in Aquarium Club Maryland. I also go to Aquarius Society of Central Maryland and Potomac Valley Aquarius Society, Mid-Atlantic Killifish Association. Sometimes go to the Cichlid Club of York. Anything that's within like an hour drive, like I'll go to. So an hour of Baltimore metropolitan area.
How far is PA from you?
It's like an hour and a half.
Because I guess it's in October, no, September. They have this big club
the
meeting.
Keystone Clash.
Yeah,
Keystone Clash. Yeah,
is that something that you might find yourself attending?
Yeah, I went to the last one.
Oh, you were there?
Yeah, I did go to the last one.
Well, I'll tell you what. You go this year.
That was fun.
You're going to meet a lot of these people that were here today. They'll be there, so you'll be able to
give me a hard time.
You'll be able to put some faces to these names.
Okay.
So,
hey, watch your step.
From what I hear, it's a great time to be had. It's just I'm on the opposite coast, so it just with flights, and I'm not going to fly solo either. My wife's going to come with me, so everything gets duplicated when it comes to the cost. But,
no,
maybe someday.
100%.
Maybe when I become YouTube famous and YouTube pays me enough money to travel, I'll do that. Which is probably never, but that's okay.
Hey, keep recording, keep talking. These conversations are great. I was like shocked. I was like, 60. Like, this is crazy. This is so much to go back and watch. Like, it's awesome.
Yeah, for a while there it was pretty. You'll notice there's like ebbs and flows. There's times where I was doing like three in a week, and then there's going to be dry spots where it's almost like 3 months, nothing, radio silence.
I started conversations with some of my friends. We're calling it In Our Tanks. You got to come on.
Okay.
We set up topics. Sometimes it's like a clickbait controversial topic. So, you have to be ready to share your opinion on these things,
Oh yeah. I've been part of one of those.
Yeah, but you should come on sometime. We just started, so I'll wait until I work out the kinks,
No problem. Yeah. I definitely would love to do that. And like I said, I highly recommend you check out that whole Fish Fan link. Get on there.
Yeah.
It'll make it easier for people to be able to find you, especially when they watch this and they watch the replay. They'll know where to be able to link up with you and stuff like that. Because I really do enjoy what you're doing. I think your channel is very informative. And the fact that it's nice to see something that's not as wrinkled as this doing content.
I mean, that's one of the things I like about the hobby too, though. Like, it's a lot of first adopters. So some of these older, breeders and stuff, you'll go to their website and it's clear they made it when it was like hard to make websites. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So like that's kind of what I like. It's an intergenerational hobby, and everyone just loves learning. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, that is the one thing that the one constant that I've come across is that all of us are willing to learn. Um, for the most part, everybody's pretty open minded and real receptive to information,
Yeah.
and I think that's that's what keeps us older guys young at heart too. So it's just and we like mixing it up with you young folk, and we can learn a lot from you guys as much as you
Yeah.
guys can learn from us. So.
And I mean, the thing about being young is just you're not young for long. So,
Yeah, tell me about it.
it's like
I sit here sometimes and go, where did 30 years of my life go by so quick? It's
right,
kind of like it's amazing how quickly. Not when you're young, time is slow. I think the point of no return is once you hit 30, it starts like you're on the downhill slide and time just flies. It's just
I could
before you
believe
know
it.
it, it's like I'm 40 now and then I'm 50. And then you're kind of going, oh, I'm getting close into those numbers where the time runs out.
Well, the thing I like about it though is, especially like the hobby is all about patience. So I feel like I've learned a lot there. But now it's to the point when I was a kid, it's like, when can you drive? 3 years from now. I'm like, oh my God, it's gonna be so long. Now I'm like, when is this gonna like 2 years from now? Oh, that's not long. Like, that's fine. I could
Oh,
wait.
it gets a lot quicker once you get to my age.
Yeah. When I was a kid, my mom would always say, I feel exactly the same on the inside as I did when I was like, how is that possible? But now I'm like, I see. But it's nice though, because it's like you're yourself, but you've just learned.
Yeah, that's what I have to stop and think about it. Well, not really. The more every morning it reminds me of, but I stop and go, shit, it's not that long ago that I thought I was 20. It's like
Yeah.
I don't necessarily feel like I'm 50 something, my body does sometimes when if I try to get up and run real quick and it's like, oh, everything starts hurting. But
Right.
it's just, I didn't think when I was younger, I used to look at this age and go, shit, that's old as hell.
Yeah.
And now that I'm here, it's like, it's not that old. It's old, but it's not that old.
And honestly, I have not yet reached the point where I'm like, I would go back. I'm like, I like the older I get, the more I appreciate like what comes with being older. It's like, it's nice to be able to see the progress. I wouldn't want to be 23. I feel like I've learned so much more since then. I like being this age. I feel different. Like I think differently. So if I could go back, no, it's like, please. This has been much better, actually.
Thank you, Steve, and thank you too, Sarah. Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Man, getting wet.
Yeah, it's just it's. I don't know. The one thing that I do is that at this age, you tend to have a big appreciation for everything that you've experienced in your life. And appreciation for what's coming, because it's that reality that is like, there's not too many sunrises and sundowns more, that are left.
Right.
I've already lived more of those that what I have left to live.
Right.
So you quickly realize what's important, what isn't. You don't get hung up on the small BS that maybe at your age you'd be like, it's a big deal. Once you get to my age, it's kind of like, whatever. It's not that big of a deal.
The anxiety like has decreased so much for me. So much more just like, I don't care. Rolls off my back. And I appreciate that so much. I would not go back for it. So even just like saying I would never do this or I'd never do that, I like the fact that I can't really say like in 10 years what it's gonna be, because I could have never predicted this. I never would have seen this coming at all. So,
well, and there's a thing I guess also that was kind of generational. I know when I was growing up, it seemed like every other year we were going to end the world in nuclear war, because we had the Cold War with Russia, and it always seemed everybody was doom and gloom. This is the last year of society, and thankfully that never happened, and hopefully it doesn't happen in my lifetime.
but
But it's just it is what it is. I'm having a blast. I'm enjoying this. I get to meet people like you. I get super excited when I get to meet people like you, um, because I love seeing that energy, that drive, that enthusiasm, and I just want to wish you the best of luck, and I've the best of success. And I think you're going to get there. You have what it takes. You have personality. You have the intelligence, and you have the skill set for YouTube.
Hold up there. Hey, we'll see. We'll see. And hey, if it happens, you get this. You're the first person to have a conversation with me. So now it's gonna be like, hey man, remember when you were no one?
No, I'd never do that. I always cheer for everybody. I'm of the opinion the more the merrier. I think building these relationships is beneficial for all of us because we can all uplift each other, and that's really why I do this. I really do this out of the fact that I wish everybody that comes on success and whatever endeavor, even if it's not in the hobby, if they decide to get out of this and do something else. It's a person that I got to meet. It's a person that I got to learn from, and at the end of the day, that's what makes it so unique. I've made so many friends by doing this that otherwise I would have never had. So that to me is what keeps me motivated and keeps me wanting to do this. And hopefully for you that also becomes a thing where you get to make a lot of friends and acquaintances doing this.
I'm hoping so. I so far I have, and it's my favorite part. Like, one of the things I was saying recently is like, life is all about people. That's what makes it meaningful, is connections with other people. So doing the fish stuff, it's like, what's the point if I'm not sharing and talking and enjoying it with everyone else that's doing it?
I think they dropped your link a couple of times. Hopefully, if you guys go check out his channel, if you like what he's doing, give him a sub. I just think, like I said, I think Nicolas is doing a great job providing good information. Love his videos. It gives me something to aspire to. And I just want to thank you guys all for hanging out with us. It's been 2 hours, and I just want to say thank you because you guys consistently come out and support me and continue to watch my videos and these live streams. So with that being said, anything you want to say before we get out of here?
No, just thank you so much for having me on, and everyone in the chat. It's really a wonderful community you got here, so I'm just really honored to have a chance to come and yap about for 2 hours with you.
You got it. Thank you guys. We'll see you guys soon. And wait, before we get out of here, if they can drop your link one more time. All right. Let me see. I could do it. I actually have it here because we were watching the video. Let me go. Somebody's going to probably beat me to it, but let's see. No, I don't want to. Of course, I'm already there. I want to copy it. There we go.
We got it.
Oh, they did?
One more time.
Told you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you. Who was it? Oh, Jeff. Thank you for dropping that on there. And again, thank you guys so much for coming out. And we'll see you guys soon. We'll see you in the next one. I think I just got confirmation from one of the other guests. So hopefully, I like to advertise them at least 3 days out, so it gives people, because I don't do a consistent schedule. It's just all over the place.
Right.
I like to give it at least a 3-day lead so that people can get the notifications and plan accordingly.
Well, I'll be keeping an eye out for it.
All right. Well, you guys take care, and we'll see you guys in the next one. You guys have a good day or happy